So why don't we start first with that beatdown last night? I'm saying in the long history of historic ass beatings, I'm not sure I've ever seen one quite like that. I'm not sure any of us have ever seen a curb stomping of the magnitude that we witnessed last night. I know that I definitely have not yelled, "Somebody stop the fight," at my TV during the second quarter of a national championship before. It was hard to watch, actually. It was like, please, somebody pull the dogs off of TCU. Somebody throw the damn towel. If there ever was a Rocky IV throw the damn towel moment, this was it. Except it wasn't a moment. It was an entire half. An entire half of garbage time in the Natty. It was a national championship that had more garbage time than actual competitive time. Literally. It was a national championship that needed a mercy rule. And it needed that mercy rule in the second quarter. Simply one of the most dominant championship performances ever by any team in any sport. That makes the Georgia Bulldogs the first back-to-back national champs in a decade. Yes, Georgia fan, that is somehow a real thing. You were not dreaming. You were not tripping. You were not hallucinating. You might have been hammered, but what you saw was a real thing. It actually did happen. And unfortunately for you, TCU fan, I would say the same thing. It actually did happen. That was not some nightmare that you're going to wake up from. That massacre actually happened. That bloodletting was real life. An incredible story, incredible season, amazing run. Nobody can take that away from you. However, nobody's ever going to forget that last night was historic ass. Last night was a decimation, an abomination, and it's going to live forever. It's just no getting around it, right? There's no way around it because Georgia just scored the most points ever in a national championship game. It was also the largest margin of victory ever in any bowl game. Period. Not just the Natty, but any bowl game ever played. And Kirby Smart set the tone right off the very top of that broadcast as well when he summed up the carnage that was about to happen with one single word. And that was kind of like the PG version. The R-rated version, which went viral, of the audio in the locker room was expletive-filled, many F-bombs. But he said that for the record, aggression. We're going to go hunting. And a hunting they were. The hunt was finished, in fact, before halftime. You've got a 10-7 game that all of a sudden is a 38-7 game. In fact, they scored 38 first-half points on 38 first-half offensive plays. That's a real stat. They were literally averaging a point a play in the first half. Kirby Smart finally called off his dogs early in the fourth. And, you know, the night went just fine when you give your quarterback a curtain call with 13:25 left in the Natty and a 52-7 lead. Incredible moment for Bennett. Stetson Bennett. A truly fitting end to an ionic college career. And then we had to sit around and awkwardly watch another 45 minutes of football. Well, at least for those of you who did actually sit around and awkwardly watch another 45 minutes of football. Those few of you who were actually going to last until and made it to the end of the game, that might have ended up as the least watched trophy ceremony in the history of trophy ceremonies. But back to Bennett for a second. I mean, this guy literally achieved GOAT status last night. It might have been debatable before, but it no longer is now. Bennett is the best quarterback in Georgia history. He is now one of the most decorated quarterbacks in the history of college football. He might have just capped his career with his single best performance as a Bulldog. 4 tutties passing, 2 more running, over 300 yards in the air. I mean, my dude hit basically every single thing he tried all night long. And then he checked out for a standing O with nearly an entire quarter left. I don't know how that night could have gone any better for that guy. And it caps a career that started as a walk-on. We all know the story. He starts as a walk-on. He ends it with a 29-3 record, a couple of natties, a couple of national championship offensive MVP awards. And I don't care if he's 25 or 35 or Bacon 45 or Bennett 55.
Bennett.
This is a ridiculous run for a college starter. So Twitter can all hate on this guy for being old all they want, but he is still going to end up with a statue outside of Sanford Stadium in Athens. In fact, they might even think about renaming that place to Stetson Bennett Stadium. That's how ionic this guy is, and always will be in that town. But if anything was abundantly clear last night, it's that it wasn't just about Bennett. It was about everybody, every Bulldog. Georgia was just better in every single category. They were bigger, they were faster, they were stronger, they were deeper, they were more experienced, they were better prepared. That showed why they are now the preeminent, dominant force in college football. And they're going to remain the preeminent, dominant force in college football. Georgia is now the program, a.k.a. step aside Nick Tater. And it was pretty glorious to see the Nick Tater have to digest that fact live on the halftime desk. Nick Saban's squad did not get invited to the Nick Saban Invitational this year, but they still let old Red Ass broadcast the event. I think mostly just so he could get dunked on in person. That could not have been easy. However, he still looked better. In fact, nobody looked worse than Jim Harbaugh, because I think that every single person watching that game had the same exact thought about midway through the first quarter. How the hell did Michigan lose to these guys? And again, nothing against TCU, but that was an absolute body bagging. So how did Michigan, the great Michigan Wolverines, get beaten by these guys? I guess Harbaugh was too busy begging NFL teams to return his telephone calls like the most annoying, khaki, pants-wearing telemarketer of all time. Please. I'm sure the NFL thinks this is a great look for old Jimbo. Hey, yo, David Tepper, Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, what's up, Jim? Hey, listen, you got a minute? Can we talk? Can we talk? Talk about what? That job opening you have. Didn't you guys lose to TCU? Well, yeah, but. And didn't you see the championship game? Yeah, but. Anyway. So there was one big upset, though, last night. The rain. It's always an upset here in Cali when it rains, at least in SoCal. So the rain, and never mind TCU coming in as 13-point dogs, and some of us morons thinking that was good value. Never mind that Georgia covered the spread by 44. How about the rain covering the spread? SoFi Stadium. In fact, the rain might have won outright. In fact, that rain put a bigger beat down on all of us and everybody there than even Georgia did on TCU. Listen, I know we're soft. I know it. I know we're wimps. I know we're not built for weather and elements. We're just not. I get it. And believe me, I've got evidence to share with you a little bit later on. But we're really going to go through something out here right now because it's raining. I mean, have you seen the video like in my former stomping ground up in the 805 in Santa Barbara? Here in Orange County where we are, in Los Angeles, it has been raining, yo. Brand new state-of-the-art $5.5 billion edifice. Might not be built for the elements, but a $5.5 billion edifice should be. If you were there last night, you know that it really isn't. Everybody who flew across the country to sit in some $1,000 upper deck seat was totally pleased and prepared to get pelted by sideways rain in a non-competitive game all night long while sipping on $17 Modelo's.
Totally.
pissed. Totally pissed.
Totally trashed.
Oh. Not only was it raining sideways, but it was raining sideways into the concourses. Have you ever been to that edifice? It is sparkling. It is pristine. But you know what it's like? It's like a gigantic iPhone without a case. Man, it's slippery as hell. It is. So that made that place slick as hell when the rain started to rain sideways right through the concourses. And it resulted in a lot of fans taking headers, and they were wheeling people out of there in stretchers left and right. Telling you. But as bad as that was, I'm sure none of them were feeling as roughed up. It's a good thing my guy, the Pro Football Doc, was there to help out. I'm sure none of these people are feeling as roughed up this morning as the Horned Frogs, who just caught one of the worst beatings we've ever seen in any championship game, in any sport, on any level. A beating so bad that once again, it had all of us screaming, throw the damn towel. Throw the damn towel. I mean, TCU, no offense. Again, amazing story. From 5-7, first-year head coach, a guy that I love in Sonny Dykes, to the championship game. They beat Harbaugh. They beat the mighty Michigan men. But, last night will stick to them, and no offense, but last night, actual Frogs may have been more competitive. At least the Frogs can handle the rain. I mean, what good is a roof if you've got no walls, right? What good is a roof if you have no walls? $5.5 billion with a B. Well, slap a little drywall around that thing. Somebody have gone down the street, 5, and bought a bunch of those instant canopies where you just lower the legs on one side at an angle to shield people from the rain. Got kids who play sports. You've seen those things. Just run down the street and buy a few thousand of them and put them up. SoFi. I mean, I'm the structural engineer, but couldn't you squeeze creating the world's biggest rain poncho into that $5.5 billion budget? I mean, I know nobody ever expects it to rain here, but it does sometimes. And when it does, it's never a good thing. Never a good thing. We go literally from zero to flash flood in 5 seconds here. It's always been that way. You got to know. You got to know.